Hey guys, it's the Red Queen here. Welcome back to my channel. I know I've been MIA for a bit. I've been working on my joint channel with my boyfriend, C&P. Check it out if you haven't already. I've been having a lot of fun with that channel, so I've been neglecting this channel a little bit. I promise I am back now and ready to dive back into work. I'm going to be changing this channel up a little bit. It's just going to be if I could do it, so can you, motivational techniques following my life story, and it's going to be following my new career path. I'm going to be diving into the organizational business and into a loan processor business. So as I'm going through that journey, I'm going to have you guys follow along with me. Today I wanted to talk to you about how I got myself out of debt and how you can too. I wanted to talk to you guys about what happened to me in my past that brought me into debt, and the choices I made in my life and the things that I've learned that helped me get out of it and do better for my future. So, the three main reasons why I got into debt was living in New York, 1, spending recklessly, 2, and the friends I've had, 3. First, I wanted to talk about my credit card debt. When I was young, fresh out of high school, most of you know this from when you're in high school, you graduate, you're about to go into college, you get all these applications for credit cards, so many different ones. So I didn't really know much about credit and credit score and what it meant to have a good credit score and all that stuff. So I just applied for a few credit cards just to have the extra money. And I kind of spend them recklessly. I spent them to go out with friends. I spent them on gifts for friends, gifts for family. And before you know it, the credit card debt just kept piling up. That's the main thing that caused my debt problem. The reasons why it took me so long to get out of that hole was because of where I lived. I lived in New York. And anybody that's from New York knows the taxes in New York are so high. We're one of the many states that have state tax. Now that I live in Florida, we don't have to worry about state tax, so that's one less burden off of my shoulders. The advice I can give to you guys is if you are venturing out on your own, you're choosing colleges to go to, or you're just moving out of your parents' house and choosing a place to live, think about the state that you live in. Think about the city that you live in. Those determine how expensive things are going to be, from rent to food to transportation. Living in New York was super expensive. There was no way I'd be able to live on my own, for an apartment, for food, to buy a car. It's pretty much impossible for a single person fresh out of high school going into college. Thinking about rent by itself, a 1-bedroom apartment in New York that is the size of a walk-in closet is about $2,000. Where in Florida, a 2-bedroom apartment is about $1,300. And then food is I spend about $300 a month for food in Florida, where in New York, $300 would probably last you about 2 weeks, maybe. So when you're looking at places to live and you're thinking about branching out on your own, really try to keep this stuff in mind. Try to look at states that are a little bit cheaper, maybe even cities that are a little bit cheaper, because there's certain cities and certain states that are more expensive than others. Like, for example, in Florida, I wouldn't be living in Miami or Orlando because it's going to be a little bit more expensive than living in Tampa or Boca even. Boca is actually a little bit more expensive than most cities in Florida. So you have to really think about these things because location and money kind of go hand in hand. So moving on to my second step, the second reason why I got into debt is reckless spending. I used to, back in New York, go out to eat a lot. I would go out with friends, we would go to all-you-can-eat sushi, we would go drinking, we would go see movies. So now you know I have this substantial amount of credit card debt. And you know I live in New York, and my money in New York is going towards my house, whether I'm giving my mom some money for the house I live in, or I'm using it for transportation to get to work. That's one part of my money that's not going towards paying off my credit card. The other part is spending money on my friends, going out to eat, instead of using that money to pay off my cards. Choosing having a social life instead of getting my life together. I would say my advice would be, maybe instead of going out to eat all the time, buy groceries. Learn to cook. It's actually a lot easier than you think. When I was living in New York, I barely ever cooked. My mom cooks for me all the time, and sometimes my sister would even. Me, never. I would bake now and then, but never cooked. When I lived in Florida and I moved in with my boyfriend, I learned to cook, and actually I'm pretty good at it. I got a lot of compliments on my food, and all it took was just being taught some recipes or following some recipes that my mom gave me, and just trying things out, trying something new. Step out of your comfort zone. Don't be afraid that, oh, it's gonna taste bad. Even if you make something horrible, at least you tried. So that's one way. And listen, I know once in a while it's nice to go out to enjoy yourself. I'm not telling you to never go out to eat, to never go out to and have fun with your friends. But think responsibly. Maybe cut it back to maybe once a month instead of once a week. Make a budget for yourself. That's the biggest thing. Once you know how much you're getting paid every paycheck, like let's say you get paid twice a week, once every 2 weeks, and let's say you're getting paid $800. Now go through your bills. Okay, rent for the month is $1,000, $1,300. Electricity is $120, let's say. Food is $300. So you gotta add how much money you're gonna be making for the month. Take away how much money your bills are, and then whatever is left over, I would split in half. Put half of that into your savings, and the other half you could use for yourself. That's going out to dinner with your boyfriend or your friends, or getting your nails done or your hair done, whatever the case may be. Learn what is a priority, what comes first, and what should come last in your life. Buying gifts. This one was a hard one for me, and this one was a big reason of my reckless spend thing. I love giving things to people. I would buy extravagant gifts for people's birthdays, Christmas, holidays, any holiday that caused a gift to be given, which is like almost every month, let's be real here. And it's a huge hole in my pocket. I'm giving to all these people. But you know what? I'm not giving anything to myself. I'm not paying off my debts. I'm not going to sleep not worrying about money and stuff like that, because I'm using it to make somebody else happy. I had to learn to cut back on that, to say to myself, it's okay if I can't celebrate the holidays this year. I tried to do that once, and I ended up having a huge fight with a friend. And she made me feel so guilty about not contributing in the holidays. And I'm telling you right now, don't let anybody make you feel that way. If you can't afford to spend money on somebody else because you need to take care of yourself, and they have a problem with it, that's on them, really, and they're not really worth being your friend. You need to focus on what you need to do to better your life. If that means I have to skip a birthday or a holiday, it's okay to do those things. Or if I could only do a $10 limit per person, that's okay. Tell the people, listen, this year I can only do a $10 limit. That way they don't feel bad for buying you an expensive gift when you can only afford this. My third and final reason for how I couldn't get myself out of debt was my friends. I always felt so much pressure to have to put money out, to do things, to hang out, because I was always the poor one, or somebody was always paying for me. So when I did have money, I gave it out to them because I felt guilty. And that's not right, because it's not my fault it is my fault, but if I'm trying to get myself out of a situation, it's not my fault that I am broke and I can't do things that other people can in my friends group. It's okay to say no to people. If they choose to pay for you, that's fine too, but do not let them make you feel guilty for that. If that's the case, I'd rather you not pay for me at all. That's what I would say. And I suggest you guys do the same. So how I was able to get myself out of debt. The first big one for me was deciding to move out of New York. And I'm not telling you guys to follow me and move out of your hometown and move out of state. But I am telling you to think about where you're choosing to live. Think about the taxes, keep that in mind, not just for your house, not just for your income, but especially if you plan on running your own business. These are things that you really have to think about when you're planning on living somewhere, because it could really affect you dramatically. When I made that step to move to Florida, the financial pressure I had from New York instantly kind of relieved me. As soon as I went to a store and saw how much cheaper things were. When my mom was filling up her gas tank and I saw how much cheaper gas was. And when I decided to move in with my siblings and I saw how affordable it was for a 2-bedroom apartment, I was like, I could do this. I can finally focus on paying off my credit card bills and live on my own. And that dream was becoming more of reality, where in New York it was always just a pipe dream. The second thing was deciding to live with somebody and not live by myself. When we first moved to Florida, I was so desperate to just be by myself. I lived with my family for way too long. And anybody that knows, when you live with family members for a long time, you just want to get away from them. And it doesn't mean you don't love them, it doesn't mean you don't care about them. It just means you were with them for too long, and it's now time for you to have your space and have your me time and grow up and be able to be yourself and not deal with family drama or family issues. So I wanted to live in my own place. I wanted to get away from my family, and I was looking for apartments, and I already had a job lined up because I was lucky enough that when I moved from New York, my job was able to hook me up with a job in Florida. So that was okay, that was down. Now it's just a matter of where to live. And I came to the realization that at that moment, I wasn't going to be able to do everything I wanted to do. I wasn't going to be able to live in an apartment by myself, to travel to work by myself, to pay off all the debt that I brought with me from New York. It was impossible. So I had to come to the realization that I needed to live with somebody. I couldn't live alone. So I decided to move in with my brother and my sister, which seemed like a good idea at first, but it really didn't work out for me because I needed to help my brother pay for rent, and he was paying for my Ubers to get to work because work was kind of out of the way, and I ended up owing more debt than getting rid of debt. So when I picked up a second job at Walmart, I ended up meeting my boyfriend, which was the next blessing that ever happened to me while being in Florida. And we hit it off right away. And within a month or two of seeing each other, he asked me to move in with him. And he said to me, listen, all I need from you is to drone me a couple of bucks for food. The rest, I want you to just take care of your debt. Clear your slate so that way we could focus on building something else together without having this burden on your shoulders holding you back. And it was the greatest thing I could have ever done. So I ended up moving in here, paying off my debt, plus with the first stimulus check that we got of the $1,200, by that moment in time, I was completely debt free. And I'm telling you guys, when that moment comes, it is the greatest feeling in the world. To know that you don't have to worry about paying off any bills except for the ones that are right in front of you, that you have to deal with on a monthly basis. Not having those financial burdens holding you back from doing things. I'm now able to do so much from being debt free. My advice to you guys is, if you are moving somewhere by yourself and you still have some financial burdens on your shoulders, some debt in your pocket, I would consider, for the time being, get yourself a roommate. Find a friend. Put something on Craigslist. Get to know the person before you choose them as a roommate. And live together. A 2-bedroom apartment versus a 1-bedroom apartment in Florida is only $100 difference. Split that in half. Split everything in half down the middle. Still have that extra money on the side to pay off your bills and your debt. And then once you're debt free, you can start saving. And then eventually you can move out and live on your own, if that's really what you want to do. That's something that I would do if I were you, and that's something I did for myself. The last things I want to leave you guys with is just be responsible with your spending. Think before you buy something, before you let somebody influence you. Think, do I really need this? Also, try not to finance anything. Try to pay it out of pocket. Save up for it and then buy it. If you finance something, that's money that's leaving your paycheck that you don't have in your pocket. I'd rather, like for example, my boyfriend and I are setting up our apartment. Now that we're both in a place where we have a little bit of money to spend, we are buying furniture for our place, setting up an office so we can do our YouTube channels. So, for example, we're going to be buying a couch, and it's about 1 month's rent, $1,300. I'm going to save up that money and buy the couch flat out. I'm not going to finance it so that way I'm paying like a monthly fee, because that when I get my paycheck, that money is no longer going to be there. And I can use that money for other things. Where if I just save the money and put it into my bank account, I won't have to worry about it, and I have control over how much I want to take out that paycheck, or how much I can take out that paycheck depending on what else needs to be done. And know if you are responsible enough to have a credit card. I know it's very enticing. Oh, I got a pre-approved for a credit card. Oh my God, I got a $1,000 limit. I could buy all this stuff that I need. But wait a minute, that bill's gonna come at the end of the month, and now I owe $1,000 that I don't have. You can't. If you know that you are gonna be reckless with your credit cards and you can't trust yourself to spend wisely with a credit card, do not buy a credit card. Don't do it. The best way to have a credit card is to pay the whole amount off at once and every month, and build up those perks, build up that credit score to increase your credit so that way you can get important things that you need in your life in the future. Like if you want to get a car, or if you finally are able to get a house, having that good credit score is going to help you. Even getting a good apartment. This is what I went through personally with my debt from New York to Florida. And certain circumstances happen and certain choices happen that I decided to make. And you're going to get that too. There's going to be circumstances that come across your way. And you could choose to go one path or go another. It all boils down to you and what you feel inside, what your gut instincts were. If I didn't listen to my gut, I probably would have still been in New York in more $1,000s of debt, living on the street, pretty much. But my gut told me to take a chance, follow my family to Florida. And it was great. It was the greatest thing I ever did. And then, again, my gut told me to leave my siblings, move in with my boyfriend. Yeah, it's still an early relationship. Should I do it? My gut said to me, do it. And I did. And it was the best decision I ever made. I'm happier now than I've ever been. I feel so much lighter now than I ever felt. If I was able to get myself out of debt, and I was able to learn from my mistakes and do better and go on this road that I'm now going on, so can you guys. Trust me. In my next upcoming videos, I'm going to tell you about how I learned how to save, how I learned how to invest my money, and I'm also going to do some organizational tips while I'm going through my apartment and building my portfolio for my career. I'm going to have you guys come along with me and teach you some organizational tips for your house at home. So stay tuned. Please like this video, comment down below, let me know what you guys went through. Did you have similar issues with debt? How were you able to overcome it? Did this video help you at all to come up with ideas to get yourself out of debt? Subscribe. I'm trying to get this channel, my own personal channel, monetized, and I do need your help to get there. So please tell your friends, tell your family. Let's get this subscription done. Let's get these subs in. Sorry. And that is all. Until next time, guys. Bye.